Hey, so some of you may be asking, what's with all the trans stuff? Well, this is where I'm at now. Uh, and it's as much a part of me as any other part. I recently found an old picture. Here's a quote: wherever you decide to land, don't ever change. I think my mom wrote those words. I think this is my 8th grade Flatbush graduation yearbook ad. Did she mean them? Maybe, in theory. In practice, it definitely didn't feel true. Certainly not today. Emotional abuse is complex. If there weren't moments of joy, we would certainly not stick around. And that is certainly no excuse to stick around, just something to acknowledge. Okay, so this will not be an official episode, just some words on how I felt after last week's episode and setting a stage for the much longer episode of this week coming out Tuesday on my undergrad college experience. So first, a few words on last week's episode. So some of you may be asking yourself, is he just doing all this trans stuff for attention? Or just to be, I don't know, contrarian or something? This idea is so disturbing. There's a lot more I could have done for attention, and if anything, it may be chasing viewers away. And the idea that I'm just being contrarian, I was pretty different already in the ultra-religious world. That would have made me quite contrarian enough. But even after that, my opinions and approach to addiction and mental health and overdiagnosis again, all of that would have served a purpose. Just being here in Hawaii would serve that purpose. Oh, he's just an extremist. He found a new escape. This time it's his gender. LOL. And I can't wait. 3 to 5 years, we're going to be getting the regret and detransition videos. Just you wait. If you're wondering if I'm literally in your group chat or how I just read your minds, man, I can hear these voices. They're in my head. Sometimes they come in the form of family members. Morris, we're worried about you. And sometimes it's in the form of old friends. LOL, mofo's never gonna grow up. I just feel bad for him. Hazit. An old bully I once called my best friend for 20 years or so used to tell me that he owned real estate in my mind. Public service announcement for those in long-term friendships that might be abusive. Just because you've been friends for a very long time does not mean you are necessarily good for each other. If anything, I get curious if either of you are growing at all. It's not so common that two people can stay in a dynamic that's alive and moving and growing and changing for over 20 years. Look, I'm not anti all long-term relationships, and there will be a whole episode dedicated to the ideas of polyamory and ethical non-monogamy at some point later on. But yeah, in long-term friendships, I just get curious. Ask that scary question. What is this relationship doing for me? Is this helping me in my growth, my quality of life? Is this growing with me? Does this feel loving and flowing for me? And despite being years removed from some of these friends and friendships, I can still hear them laughing at me and bullying me in my head. Not taking anything I do seriously. It hurts. It makes it hard to trust my own feelings. Wow, he's still on this? When is he going to get over it and grow up already? Yes, right, says the abusive person. Thanks for not only abusing me, but belittling me for feeling the long-term impacts of it. That's kind. And so day by day, voice by voice, I have learned to fight back against the bullies that live in my own head and that weigh me down on my neck and shoulders. This burden can feel brutal some days, but each time I break through with another insight, I'm feeling a bit lighter and more free. So today's insight, for those calling me Peter Pan, an extremist, attention-seeking, I'd wonder and start to get curious about a few things. First is how those words exist to create a binary where there is a normal and you are in it, and a not normal and I'm in it. And how that binary protects your position and worldview as righteous, while literally dismissing my authenticity and right to exist as I am. And have feelings. Using these kind of phraseologies makes arguments that can challenge your entire way of life. And can make them easier to dismiss. Remember, the ad hominem trap. Don't let name calling towards me distract you from actually investigating the arguments I'm making. Calling me crazy or Peter Pan, he's never gonna grow up, does not answer the serious challenges that I'm proposing to the system and the questions to your way of life. Hell, it just distracts from the questions themselves and attacks me and attempts to discredit me in the process. Anyone remember, does this sound familiar? Darvo? Deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. Well, these statements deny my experience, attack me, and then reverse who is the victim and who is the offender. You're calling me the crazy extremist who never wants to grow up? Reverse Uno card. LOL, I won't be able to just walk around with reverse Uno cards for whenever someone gaslights you with this shit. Just throw them at them. So let's flip it. Let's reverse. Let's flip it right back. You're maintaining a status quo you grew up with and grew up in without question, uninterested in exploring its functionality and how it may be harming others, including yourself. That sounds a lot like not growing up and extremism to me. But what do I know about humans? I just got a doctorate in clinical psychology or whatever, and have been on a self-exploration journey for what feels like a lifetime. And by the way, writing off my substance abuse, my religious journey, and my gender exploration as extremism is not only deeply insulting, but completely ignores the nuance and complexity of each of these stages of my life. The substance use, where some would call it immaturity, I might call it survival. Exploration, and a scream of someone who was deeply in pain. The religious exploration, it gave me meaning, purpose, connection to new communities and old. I literally took what I was taught in the schools that I was sent to and actually took it seriously. And the things, that are idealized in the community, seriously, sue me. And that my mentor, who I idolized, believed in. And the Jewish organizations that I was told were good and righteous. But you didn't have to take it so far, man. So far. I took it to its logical conclusion. I accepted it as true. Is it true or not? Really, I'm asking you, because maybe it doesn't really fly with something like a Bible. Because it doesn't excuse the homophobia, the racism, the bigotry, and the xenophobia. If it's maybe. And if yes, if you actually believe it's true, then what excuse do you have not to follow it fully? Oh, God doesn't care about every law. Come on. Okay, which ones then? Just the homophobic ones? Or the ones that allow you to eat at your favorite pizza store while still being a racist bigot in the name of God? Hey. What's with all the accusations? Bible's not racist. Oh, really? So let me know when you allow your son or daughter to marry someone not from the Jewish ethno-race. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's for next week. So where were we? The trans stuff. And so yeah, I don't want this channel and my journey to get pigeonholed and shrunk down into solely a trans journey. Like, Macklemore made an incredible song supporting the LGBTQ community called Same Love. And that's incredible and important. But you know, he's also got incredible stuff on addiction and consumerism. And I've got some incredible stuff on addiction. And maybe I'll get to consumerism. And so are my parents proud? Part of me thinks that a part of them is. And I could hear this song playing in my head. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. He said, son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned? He said, will you defeat them, your demons, and all the non-believers, the plans that they had made? Because one day I'll leave you a phantom to leave you in the summer to join the black parade. And so are they proud? And I don't have to be attached to that as much as it would mean to me, because I can be proud of me. I can be the best parent that I never had. And so yeah, I'm proud to share my journey and all its parts. Modeling vulnerability and authenticity in the process while also freeing others and myself, while building a growing following that might allow me to continue to follow and pursue a lifelong dream. That sounds pretty good to me. And yes, I'm so happy to share my trans journey. It has been one of the proudest accomplishments of my entire life. What, you're proud? What do? Just share your fetish with some people? Well, when you put it like that, what about this perspective? It took 11 years for me to get the degrees I did. I accomplished a lot in that time. 5 brutal years in a doctorate program, a master's from NYU, and a Babson degree. And there were no cakewalks, and neither was before that surviving Yeshiva Flatbush Elementary and high school. Probably some of the most challenging degrees of them all to receive. Hell, I survived the death sentence that was my alcohol abuse diagnosis at 18 years old. But no, above all that lies this opening up, this journey. I want to analogize it to as if I was buried alive, and at every layer I'm digging myself out piece by piece, piece by piece. All the years of traumatic teachings that live in my brain, internalized, that told me I was disgusting and immoral for having these feelings, that told me I should hide them forever. Layer by layer I had to peel. Layer by layer I have to peel. Past the Flatbush education, the Syrian Jewish communal enmeshment, and all the said and unsaid rules. The Friday night dinner education, the friends who almost never took me seriously or offered actual support save for a few moments, a few people. And the therapist, who was my idol for nearly 3 decades, who didn't support this. Of course, that's not to ignore all the layers I actually did peel off with her. I owe a lot of thanks to that dynamic for where I am today. Freeing myself from enmeshed family dynamics and relationships I could have stayed stagnant in for a lifetime. And yeah, all the breakups, the break frees. Hell, the move to religion made space for this right now, as it was a move away from many of the problematic communal dynamics that I was in. Like in January of 2022, watching my parents drive away in the van to the airport on their way to Aruba for a week to 10 days of the Syrian dating game. And I didn't go. Instead, I stayed home to visit a rabbi in Muncie and my friends over in Yeshiva in Far Rockaway. It was life-changing and freeing. And still not enough. There were the books and videos and trainings that finally taught me to trust my own feelings, to trust my instincts, and trust sharing them, even if it was terrifying, and even if it meant I might be leaving all I knew behind. A big shout out to Dr. Hendrik and his books, The Big Leap and The Second Miricale, There's this incredible mantra that he has. Let's say, I commit to ending my negative thinking and liberating my true creativity. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm doing that. And so his books and all that building up helped me make some brutal decisions, like leaving home for the first time in 2 years since the pandemic had started. It was just down the block to my brother's empty house that he was about to knock down to start construction. But still, it was a massive moment. And 5 months later, I moved from that house into a yeshiva, that yeshiva in Far Rockaway. And I was able to end old problematic friendships that no longer served me. And fast forward a couple years, and this same strength and these same teachings ultimately helped me have the courage to leave that yeshiva and to leave my therapist. And not to move back to Deal for the summer after that, but instead to the Hudson Valley. To find healing, space, and supportive friendship. I took risks, attending poetry nights and regional Burning Man festivals. I mean, I went basically alone. It was last year this weekend, actually. Monumental moment for me. And that gave me the strength to block my mother on my phone. I'm celebrating a year ago today. I didn't start with a year in mind. Hell, I certainly didn't start with a block. And remember, I didn't come to Hawaii because I was looking to explore my trans identity, or not solely. I came here to explore and experiment with distance from problematic familial and communal dynamics, and also to create space for myself as I weaned off the religion and my reliance on religious practices as a source of self-worth and value, and to find out that I was worth more than that, no matter if I put on my tefillin or did my Shabbos prayers. It was supposed to start as a month with the hope and possibility of more, if it felt right. And then a month became 3, and now I'm 11 months and counting since I took off from JFK on that August morning or afternoon. And finally, giving myself permission of something near a lifetime in the making. From those first feelings at 9 years old to a decision post-heart surgery to start living. From a decision post-near death during study abroad to stop dying. And we can check out the episode coming for more on that. And that led to many more decisions that finally gave me the space, the strength, and the courage to ask, why not? Why not give self-love a try? Why not explore it? No guarantees, no commitments. Only committed to loving myself, no matter the outcome. Choosing me. It's been brutal. Each step deeply painful. Hell, I had a rough time sleeping this past week. I had a rough time sleeping after many of those first videos. It's still very scary to do this. But it's getting easier. Layer by layer, I peel off. Voice by voice, I clear out of the way. Clearing the weeds to make space for this beautiful, fruiting tree. That is my current life and my current self. And so yes, I'm very proud. This didn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. But I hope that my shoveling out of this grave I was buried alive in is not for naught. I know it's not. Because in sharing it, hell, even just existing, I'm drawing a map, a beacon of hope, a living, breathing example of possibility. And hell, creating some space for you too in the process. This isn't just for trans or gay people. I mean, this is certainly for you. And I hope this helps. And I love you. I fucking love you. And also, this is for everyone. Everyone fighting for the right to exist in their truest, most authentic self. That's something we should celebrate. Whether it's fighting for a right to relate to someone, to live somewhere, to explore something. Yeah, there's a lot. This is a trans story. And this is a human story. The movie I suggested last week, I saw the TV Glow, never even mentions the word trans, and it doesn't have to. It's not just a trans story, it's a human story. Hell, the 2004 SpongeBob movie can be seen as a gender exploration journey if you want to. You know, he's exploring what it means to be a man. Now that we're men, I changed my underwear. Now that we're men, we have facial hair. And ultimately, it's his inner child, not his man, that saves the day from the brainwashing helmets. Oh my God, there's a lot here. A capitalist villain. He has the people with literal buckets over their head and eyes. The king, too obsessed with self-image to notice what's actually happening under his rule. Just replace all hail Plankton with all hail Jeff Sutton. All hail Rabbi Adid. So, all hail Donald Trump. All hail Plankton. And what finally freed the people, it wasn't about the androgynous sponge becoming a man or whatever that means, or wearing a mustache, or riding the Hasselhoff. No. It was more than that. It's been a hell of a week, and you know, I've been through a lot in the past 6 days, 5 minutes, 27.5 seconds. And if I've learned anything during that time, it's that you are who you are. And no amount of mermaid magic or managerial promotion or some other third thing can make me anything more than what I really am inside.
Kid.
That's great. Now get back against the wall.
But that's okay.
What? What's going on?
'Cause I did what everyone said a kid couldn't do. I made it to Shell City, and I beat the Cyclops, and I rode the Hasselhoff, and I brought the crown back.
All right, we get the point.
So yeah, I'm a kid, and I'm also a goofball, and a wingnut, and a knucklehead McSpagatron.
What's going on here?
But most of all, I'm...
Hey, settle down.
I'm...
Take it easy.
I'm...
What the scallop?
I'm goofy.
Oh!
Cops are too righteous. The helmets can't handle this level of rock and roll.
All right, I'm done. You can replace kid inside with just sharing your truth, that inner part that you, that's been burning your entire life, that you were told to bury, to hide away, to shame. The you they told you was too much, too sensitive, too selfish, too loud, too stupid, too silly, too childish. Woo! So yeah, thanks SpongeBob, and thanks Steven Hillenburg. Rest in peace. And yes, if you can relate to the trans journey, because you're going through that too, I'm so happy to be an example of someone freeing themselves. And if you can relate just because you're just a human trying to fight for your right to exist and have desires that go against the man-made prison cell that are communal and societal norms, i.e. chum bucket helmets, then I'm glad this is helping you too. This is for everyone, not discriminating. I do hope this story can be for, everyone. And ultimately, I know it is for me. That these videos literally inspire me. And part of me doesn't know how I do these. But they remind me, with each post, that I have nothing to be afraid of. I have no one to be afraid of. And to keep trusting that feeling inside that's been burning my entire life. So yeah, bravo. I'm proud. I'm very proud. This is and continues to be the greatest accomplishment of my entire lifetime. Opening up about how I feel inside. Yeah. Hard to believe. Hell, I have trouble believing it. But here I am, doing this. And yeah, this is where I am at now. And despite the doubt, the shame, the self-hate, the grief, the pity, the pain, I've never been prouder of myself and to be fully me. Thank you. Thank you. And have a magically delicious day.